Good morning. I'm Dr. David Ferriss, and I have with me Dr. Mark Lickey. We're both physicians at MaxWell Clinic, and this webinar is on the topic of Firstbeat Life, which is an assessment tool that we're using to help our patients understand patterns of stress and recovery. So what I'm going to do is to talk for a few minutes just to give you a little background of the science and how Firstbeat Life works, and then pull Dr. Lickey into the conversation. He's actually been a guinea pig, a test subject for recently to, I've asked him to use the Firstbeat Life assessment and to share some of his perceptions about its ease of use and information that he gathered from using Firstbeat Life. So let's start with what we mean when we talk about heart rate variability. I've covered this in more detail in some of the previous webinars that I've done in the past, but just a quick review. When we look at an EKG tracing, which you see in front of you, and we measure the time in milliseconds between each of the QRS complexes, those vertical peaks that you see, you can see that those numbers are changing beat to beat. And what this means is that our heart rate is actually changing from beat to beat. And this is what we call heart rate variability. There's an extensive body of research on heart rate variability, and it's a very useful tool to help us understand the autonomic nervous system. So as I just said, it gives us a window into the body, into the autonomic nervous system, and it's really helpful to see in particular patterns of stress and recovery. The sympathetic nervous system, when it is activated, it prepares the body for fight or flight. It accelerates bodily functions, as opposed to the parasympathetic nervous system, which is primarily involved in relaxation, helping the body to rest and recover. And ideally, what we need is an interplay of these two. We're all going to have stress, and stress is not all bad. It's only when we have chronic unremitting stress that it is harmful to our bodies. As long as we're getting periods of recovery, particularly during sleep at night and at different times throughout the day, we can achieve a very healthy balance and promote good health and well-being. So what you see here is an example of a graph, a 24-hour period of time that comes from a Firstbeat Life measurement. And you'll see there are areas of red, blue, and green. You can see the time of day, and it's registered in 24-hour time along the horizontal axis. And all of this red, as you see over here, starting early in the morning and then going throughout the day. This individual is at work. And then you see other activities that have been labeled during the day, driving, housework. The dark blue represents physical activity, exercise, and then the green represents periods of recovery, periods in which this individual is primarily in parasympathetic activation. And you can see the sleep is demarcated. They went to bed pretty late, looks like about 11:30 p.m. or so. And in this particular graph, you can see what we would like to see is solid green from early on, from the time that individual goes to sleep throughout the duration. You can see in this particular case, this individual had a lot of red, a lot of sympathetic activation the first part of sleep, which means they weren't getting recovery during that time. And then they settled down and had a pretty good night. This slide contrasts what we refer to as a useful stress pattern and a harmful stress pattern. So again, both of these are 24-hour graphs of stress and recovery. Again, with the red being periods of stress, light blue is light activity, dark blue is moderate or vigorous activity, and again, the green represents periods of recovery. And you can see in this top graph, while there is a lot of red during the day and the evening, this individual is getting some good moderate to vigorous exercise, quite a bit of light exercise during the day, and there's some periods, and they don't have to be long during the day, where you're seeing green, where they're getting some recovery. And in the evening, late afternoon and evening, they had quite a bit of recovery for a period of time. Contrast that with the bottom graph, where you see it's almost all continuous red, not only during the day, but particularly during the critical sleep time, when they may be asleep for 7 or 8 hours at night, but they're not getting any recovery. And this is the kind of stress that's extremely harmful to our overall health and well-being. So, Firstbeat Life. We've been using Firstbeat technology at MaxWell Clinic for the last several years, but Firstbeat, the company Firstbeat, which is a Finnish company, and is really the world leader in applying the science of heart rate variability to helping individuals see their patterns of stress and recovery. They introduced a new version, an enhanced version of this technology about a year ago, in which the monitoring of heart rate variability is paired in real time with a smartphone app, so that you can actually observe in real time whether you are primarily in a recovery mode, a green mode, or a stress mode. That's in addition to producing a 3-day report, which we do on all new patients when they start their Firstbeat Life assessment, so that we can have their clinician can have a report to review with the patient at a follow-up office visit. One of the really nice enhancements to our using the Firstbeat Life technology is now when you start using Firstbeat Life, you not only do an initial 3-day assessment, which gives us a really good picture of your patterns of stress and recovery over a 3-day period, but then you can do repeated measurements on your own of anywhere from 1 up to 5 days, as you choose, for a 3-month period of time, starting when you were first issued the Firstbeat Life monitoring device. So it's a great way for you to gather information about your patterns of stress and recovery, to test out what things can you do with the help of your clinician to decrease stress and get more recovery in your life, particularly with your sleep. So here you see a closer up view of what the smartphone app looks like. Dr. Lickey has been doing this, and in a few minutes he'll comment on what his experience was like seeing this, but you can actually at any time bring up the app on your phone and see what your pattern looks like that day and at that moment in time. And then once you finish a 3-day measurement or any length of measurement going forward, you will be able to press the Analyze button on your smartphone, and it will give you a number of metrics about key areas of stress and recovery. Those include your stress and recovery balance, what's the amount of the stress reactions, how much recovery are you getting in a 24-hour period of time, gives you information on the restorative effect of sleep, the amount of recovery during sleep, the length of sleep, and the quality of that sleep recovery. Other metrics it gives are with respect to physical activity. We have you wear the measuring device for the entire time. You change the electrodes once a day, at least once a day, but except when you are swimming, you're taking a bath, or you're in the shower, you leave the monitoring device on, and you just can't get it wet. But normal exercise, sweat from exercise is fine, because we want to see how much physical activity you're getting, how much light, moderate, and vigorous, and what are the health effects that you get from the amount of activity that you're doing. It also gives you a measure of energy expenditure for that day. And then finally, it shows you a graph of your body resources and how those are drained typically during the day and how you rebuild those at night. So here you see the graph of an individual from 3 days, a Thursday, a Friday, and a Saturday. And here's the starting point. You see their graph of their sympathetic activation and parasympathetic activation, their stress reactions and recovery responses during that period of time. And you see how much like a battery would drain when it's being used during the day. And then at night, which is represented by this shaded area, we see that curve going up. And that correlates here with what you see during their sleep. They're getting good recovery. It's solid green. And then the next day, they'll, over the time with stress reactions as they work, they go about their daily activities of living, that will decrease. And then you see on this second night, there was not such good recovery. It was sporadic. There was a lot of red there. And so they continued to deplete with only a small increase. And then in the third day, they're starting at a lower point here than they did on the first day. They continue to deplete, but then they start rebuilding those body resources on that third night, because they're once again are getting very good recovery. And then it also, the Firstbeat Life will also give you an overall lifestyle assessment score that combines everything together to give you an overall indicator of how you're doing and how you compare with other individuals of your gender and your age. Finally, just what I said, you get that overall Firstbeat Life score, and tells you how you did for that measurement period. So I'm going to stop the slides now and introduce Dr. Mark Lickey for those of you who don't know him. Before I ask him a few questions, I want to show you a Firstbeat monitoring device. This is called the Bodyguard 3. It's extremely lightweight. It'll hold a charge for about 6 or 7 days. And what we do is we simply apply a standard electrode that we provide for you. We strip off the backing on the back, and we apply it right here right under the right clavicle, the right collarbone. And then we take the other lead, we also attach an electrode to it, and we attach it over, you can't see this, but over on the left lower rib cage. So those two pieces, you don't even know you're wearing it when it's on, it's so lightweight. And then again, you'll replace the electrodes once every 24 hours, typically while you're showering or bathing. So it's very simple to use. The app, the smartphone app that you download to your phone will allow you to not only see real-time data, but we'll also step you through the details of just how you do a measurement. We have an information sheet we will provide you at the beginning that will help orient you to that. But it's quite easy and very detailed guidance that you get from the app on how to conduct an assessment, how to monitor, and how to analyze the results at the end. One final thing that I'll mention, and then bring Dr. Lickey into the conversation, since he's been using this for the last week or so, is that if sometime during that initial measurement, you will do what we call a 30-minute fitness walk, it gives us a very good estimate of your VO2 max. VO2 max is the gold standard of measurement of overall fitness capability, how efficient your cardiovascular and pulmonary system is at processing oxygen. The higher the score, the more fit you are. And so by walking for 30 minutes, not jogging, not running, but just walking at a vigorous rate for at least 30 minutes over fairly flat terrain. We don't want you going up hills and down hills, but over flat terrain will give us that estimate and will be produced as part of your report. And it's just a really nice objective measure to help you and your clinician understand just what your current level of fitness is. And then you can monitor that over time if you ramp up your physical activity and improve on your healthy eating and just in general a healthy lifestyle. So let me ask Dr. Lickey here. He's been using this for the last week or so. Mark, how easy was it to start using the Firstbeat Life technology?
Yeah, very, very simple. You know, it was easy to get walked through. I mean, the app makes it very simple, and the app walks you through kind of the initial information that you need to enter. And then putting on the device is super simple. I mean, it's just 2 leads. I'm wearing it right now, right here, and then right over here. So you never even think about it. I mean, I maybe think about it twice during the day. And, you know, wearing it at night is no big deal as well. Yeah, it's comfortable if you want to put it that way, and just kind of non-existent. And then it's nice to just have that automatic feedback from the app.
Yeah. So talk about that feedback. Was that helpful to be able to see while you were actually doing a measurement, real-time data, and then looking back over the last day or so, once you were on the 3rd day, of just how your patterns of stress and recovery, how that was looking?
Yeah, it was definitely eye-opening for me. You know, this happened to be at a somewhat stressful time in my life. Yesterday in particular was a bit stressful for me. And it was interesting to look at my patterns, both sleep and then what happened during the day. For example, just the last couple days. So on Monday, I had a fairly busy day here at work, but wasn't particularly stressed out, was, you know, enjoying my patients, was enjoying my day. And it was interesting how that played out. I actually was in the green, which is, you know, kind of a recovery type phase, was in the green, actually not a small part of the day, which was interesting. You know, with these periods of red, which is the periods of stress, but, you know, that's okay. We all have periods of stress during our day. We can't live in recovery every day.
Right.
And then sleep for, you know, the night before and the night after were good. It was mostly all green. And then yesterday, which was definitely more stressful, it's like my whole day was just like, it was a lot of red with not a whole lot of green, which was interesting. And then my sleep last night also was different, because the previous 2 nights, it was very green with like basically no red during sleep. And then last night it was like, it would be green, and then there'd be these little periods of red, the stress, and then green and red. And then as the night wore on, it was more, you know, universally green. But I mean, it was, as I said, very eye-opening to see, you know, my different days and how it affects me. And another thing that came up is I wear an Oura ring at night. I generally don't wear it during the day, but comparing what my Oura ring said as far as, like how my sleep was compared to the Firstbeat app. And I think it seemed very obvious that the Firstbeat app gave me a better indication of what was really going on. I'm not saying the Oura ring is not helpful, but I think that Firstbeat really gives a much more accurate representation of my stress and recovery response.
And that brings up a really good point, Mark, in that the Firstbeat Life technology, the Bodyguard 3, the monitoring device that Dr. Lickey is wearing right now, is medical grade accuracy as far as monitoring heart rate variability, because that's what it's measuring. There are a lot of helpful devices on the market that monitor heart rate variability using a pulse around the wrist. And it's not that those aren't without value. They can be very helpful, but the Firstbeat technology is actually medical grade. And so you get the most accurate possible measurement of heart rate variability, and then being able to translate that into meaningful information regarding stress and recovery. Dr. Lickey, when you did the 30-minute fitness walk, what was that like? Was that difficult to start and end?
I mean, it's just pressing a button on your phone on the app, and when you start and when you end. And I mean, it's very simple. For me, I basically just needed to find a place that wasn't terribly hilly, because I tend to go and walk where it's very hilly. So that was a little bit more of a challenge, but it was somewhere where I've been multiple times locally, and it worked out well. So super easy. And as I said, the data coming from the app has been really good for me to look at, and my patterns of how my body responds to different things, and so much of it is in your head.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other comments before we close and we go to any questions that viewers might?
Yeah,
ask?
I think it's really good for really anybody to do. I think it gives information that you would not have gotten really any other way. I'm pretty in touch with my body, and I have an Apple Watch and an Oura Ring and stuff, and so. But this has given me some additional information that I don't think I could have gotten from those other devices that I have. So it's been helpful, and I may well do this a few more times just to kind of see where I'm at. Both in kind of like the fitness area as well as the stress and recovery.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, like I said earlier, we want patients to do an initial 72-hour, a 3-day assessment that will produce a report for your clinician, which your clinician can then review with you in your next office visit. As well as the information that you get directly from the app once you've completed a measurement. But then we really encourage you, because you have use of the device and are given a supply of electrodes to use, we hope you will conduct additional measurements. And those can be for a minimum of 1 day up to a total of 5 days, if you want to look at an extended period of patterns of stress and recovery. And this is how you learn more about your body, what is affecting your levels of stress and recovery, and you can take action with the guidance of your clinician to improve your recovery. So with that, why don't we'll go to Q&A and see if we have any questions. Doesn't look like there are any questions here. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you'll consider using this and trying it out. You can contact our office for information regarding cost and the procedure to do that, or just talk with your MaxWell Clinic clinician on your next visit who can order this for you and get you started. So I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for joining Dr. Lickey and me, and have a good day. Take care.